Let's talk alpha lipoic acid. It's one we don't get to talk about often.
But this is a product that I was remiss. I planned on speaking about this yesterday during our CoQ10 Today special.
Right.
The reason why, many people refer to alpha lipoic acid as sort of CoQ10's close cousin.
Okay.
It's a very powerful antioxidant like CoQ10. Unlike CoQ10, it doesn't have the critical role in all energy production that CoQ10 possesses, which makes CoQ10 incredibly important to all of us because our energy is our ability to exist, to live, to do work. So CoQ10 is unique in that respect. But in terms of being a protective molecule, alpha lipoic acid has unique characteristics that really nothing else possesses, because most molecules that are protective in our body, they sort of make a biochemical choice. That biochemical choice is whether they exist and function well in an aqueous, a water-based environment, or whether they exist and function well in a lipid-based, in a fatty environment. And those are the two principal environments in our body. Membranes and cell membranes, those tend to be lipid-based environments. Our liver, a lipid-based environment. Our brain, a lipid-based environment. That's why CoQ10 does so well in both of those environments, because it's lipid-based. But what makes alpha lipoic acid so unique, and why it's called the universal antioxidant or the universal protective compound, is that it doesn't have to choose. It's just as comfortable. It's like a chameleon. It's just as comfortable in an aqueous, water-based environment as it is in a lipid-based, fat-soluble environment. So that's what makes alpha lipoic acid unique. What makes our material unique is that, unlike many other, you could go overseas to buy alpha lipoic acid very, very inexpensively. But unfortunately, it has levels of they're permitted contaminants, but they're permitted and I don't like the levels. I think they're too high.
Right.
So the alpha lipoic acid we get, yes, we go overseas, but we go in the other direction. We go to Germany. So our alpha lipoic acid comes from Germany, and it is of absolutely unparalleled purity. So you're getting all the wonderful protective benefits. And why would one want a protective compound that comes with undesirable impurities?
Sure.
Because it sort of, undoes the benefits of having those protective components, those protective characteristics. So our alpha lipoic acid both is extremely high potency at 400 milligrams. It's also the finest source in the world, which is not the typical source, unfortunately, that you're finding available in any stores, sadly.
We were saying yesterday that, one of the things I know from Andrew is that Andrew won't accept second best. When it comes to creating products for his customers, second best will not do. So the sourcing of the finest, purest product and ingredient is very important to you.
And I could tell you that initially when this product was specified, I looked at this product and it had already gone through quality assurance at my company. The product was approved to move forward with into production. Then I looked at the spec sheet on the material and I looked at the purity of the material and I just said, no. Wow. We have to change. So we changed this product, and this probably goes back about 7 or 8 years ago, but we changed the product to make sure that we use, just as you said, the alpha lipoic acid that is worthy of having our label on it. So if we're going to manufacture a product, we make sure that we're getting the best raw material, or we're going to try to figure out how to make it ourselves.
So it's that universal antioxidant that, is so beneficial for so many reasons and in so many ways. Pricing today, and, not just this, but anything within Andrew's assortment that you are searching for, you'll benefit from special pricing.
It's anniversary pricing. It's 23 years. So everything. So whatever you might want to reorder, even if we don't talk about it in this show, and we'll talk about a couple of dozen products, even if we don't speak about it today, everything I make is on special anniversary pricing. So now is the time. I think that continues, until midnight tonight.
I believe it is indeed, till midnight.
So, yep.
So we are running out of time on that. I know many of you were watching Andrew yesterday with the Today specials. If there was anything that you didn't pick up yet, make sure you do it before midnight to guarantee the best values of the year with the pricing.
And then I'll just, because I think we're going to run along from this in a moment here, just a quick question. So alpha lipoic acid, it's right up there with CoQ10 in terms of its protective importance, especially if we're struggling with things like blood sugar metabolism and insulin metabolism. Alpha lipoic acid is an important protective compound if we have issues with our blood sugar levels. But I just was going to mention one of those questions that I'm asked constantly, thousands and thousands of times. CBD, when am I going to start making a product with cannabinoids, CBD, which is the non-psychotropic, the non-hallucinogenic component from cannabis, from weed. So I'm still, I've become a little bit of an expert in the topic, but I'm not ready yet. And I think also the regulatory framework is still not ready yet. So you can rest assured, when it's time and when the regulatory framework, when the quality of products, so I can assure you that a product has the purity that doesn't contain THC or THA, more hallucinogenic components, the psychotropic components from cannabis. So it will not be made until it's time to be made. So as much as it would be incredibly popular and would have been for the last few years, I just don't think the products are ready yet, the market is ready yet, and the regulatory framework, the federal regulatory framework is ready yet. So rest assured, it will be coming in the future, but not ready yet.
And here is the perfect example of the difference between Andrew Lessman and so many others. Andrew waits to make sure it's right.